Hey guys, my name is Katarina Berry. I'm an empath and I'm doing a 30-day challenge talking about what it's like to be an empath, what are some of the unique challenges that we face, what are some of our special abilities, and how we can navigate the real world a little bit better while also surviving and hopefully thriving. So I've done several videos so far. I'm actually going to start linking them all down below. The latest two videos that I did, the previous one was talking about some of the ways that we can release the energies that we pick up as empaths. Reading people, reading situations, trying to help others. We get a lot of these downloads that then some of us have trouble letting go and we carry them around. So and then the video before that was talking about some of the ways that I can tell that someone else is an empath and some of the characteristics that are common for empaths. So today I want to talk about a few of the ways that you can raise your sense of self-worth as an empath. Because in one of these two previous videos, I talked at length about us empaths usually struggling with the sense of self-worth, with the sense of deserving to have needs, asking for our needs to be met, and just actually kind of taking care of ourselves in the way of providing for ourselves, making sure we have what we need, making sure we spend enough time enjoying what we need. And that stems, I do believe that it stems from our extreme sensitivity to the needs of others, the needs of other people, other forms of life such as animals and plants, the needs of our planet. And often we become very sensitive to the things that are going wrong in our world, on our planet. Other people having problems like starvation, other people having problems like homelessness, other forms of life being really pushed out or destroyed massively, either through hunting or through pollution or through trash floating all through the oceans. And often we are so sensitive to these issues that we feel that our own needs are not only not important, but that it's a shame to have needs, that we are not worthy of having needs, and we're not worthy of spending time and effort on having our needs met. So we end up in these pretty drastic situations sometimes where we don't really take sufficient care of ourselves. We're drained, we don't have enough, we don't have our needs met, and then we end up in a position where we have to rely on other people for help, support, for someone to take care of us, because it got to the point where we haven't been meeting our own needs, and now we don't have an opportunity to do that anymore because we've just been so resistant to asking for our needs to be met that now we're in a position of, say, poverty, or we're in a position of not being able to take care of ourselves, or not being able to get food, or not being able to get enough rest, and we end up having to rely on someone else to get us out. Maybe someone else notices that something's wrong or something's really going off, and maybe someone else steps in, but sometimes it can be also very isolating, and you might end up all on your own and with this shame and with this burden of how did it get to be so bad, and how do I get out of this? So this can be prevented, and I want to talk about some of the ways in which you can raise your sense of self-worth as an empath before things deteriorate, before things get to the point where it's just too bad, before things get to the point where you have to have someone rescue you. And so I think the number one, and personally I've had experiences with this. Personally I've had experiences with feeling like having needs is a shame. Having needs is something that's not good. That's something that I don't deserve. And one of the primary things to start with is the people that you always help, the people that you always take care of emotionally, the people that you always take care of as an empath, the people that you read, so to speak, as an empath, the people that you care for, the people that rely on your support as an empath. It's important that you ask them, what value has your abilities, has your presence as an empath brought into their lives? What value has your consultation, has your care, has your ability to relate brought for them? And it might not sound like a big step, but it is, because you're from the position of doing and giving and taking care over and over and over again for the people of the people that you care for. You might not really realize how much value your input, your ability to relate, your ability to have this deep sense of compassion, this deep sense of understanding, what value that has for the person that you're doing it for. And it's important for you to write these things down. Ask all the people, ask all of your friends, all of your relatives, all of the people in your life that you help and support with your empath abilities, which means that you take care of, that you care for, that you relate, that you listen to, that you take, stop everything that you're doing to hear what their problem is when they call out to you. And take notes. Now, this is also a good exercise to tell who in your circle does not really appreciate you. Because if you ask people that you do this support for, provide this support for, most of the folks will be telling you just how valuable, just how incredibly valuable you are. And you should be taking notes as to the specific points, the specific ways that you've impacted their life. If someone tells you, listen, that conversation you had with me saved me from making a very stupid decision that otherwise would have hurt me or people in my life, write that down. If someone says, listen, no one cares except for you, and you're the one person that I know will care, and that's why I know I can always call you, write that down. If someone tells you, hey, I've been in a very dark place, and I don't know if I would even be here anymore had you not lifted me up. Write that down. Write all of it down. As many different points as you get, I suggest writing them down by hand. But also, if you ask one of the people that you give all of yourself to support, and you don't really get a coherent answer, or the person just kind of says, I don't know, that, we're just good friends. That's what friends do. Maybe that should be a good point for you to kind of notice a red flag. Because if you feel like you're going out of your way, spending emotional, mental, spiritual energy supporting someone, often at your own expense, often dropping things that you're doing to help support them, to help them, to assist them, and they don't really see any specific special value in it, maybe it's time to divest your energy from that relationship. It might be challenging, it might be hard, but this is a good telling sign. If that person does not realize how much it takes from you to do this for them, maybe this is not the right connection for you, maybe it's not healthy for you. So that's just an observation point. But once you get all these points from all these people that you assist as an empath, this should give you a pretty good solid foundation as to see just how much impact your abilities, your presence as an empath has on their lives. That is step number one. It's important that you write these things down. Either you type them up, which I would suggest writing them down by hand. I know some people hate their handwriting. I don't care. This is not for anyone else to see except for you. When you write it down, it leaves more of a trace in your consciousness. And you realize that these things people realize about you. This is the value that they see in you as a human being, as a friend, as a person in their life. And it allows you to kind of connect with that importance and that significance. That allows you to really take an account of your impact on the lives of the people that you spend your energy on as an empath. So that is step number one. Step number two is you have to take an account of what you're passionate about. And you have to take somewhat of a mental estimation, let's put it this way. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to go into calculus or anything like that to estimate these numbers. But the things that you're passionate about, and it doesn't matter what it is. It can be art, it can be, I don't know, public speaking, it can be creative writing, it can be music, it can be poetry, it can be any number of gardening, it can be any number of things. It literally can be anything. But just what are some of the things that you enjoy doing, some of the things that you feel that you're good at, or some of the things that you might not feel you're good at, but some of the things that you feel like you've spent a considerable amount of time in your life just kind of investigating, practicing, learning about, researching. You don't have to be the master. You don't have to have any public recognition. Just what have you spent your energy on in life? It can be any variety of things. It can be multiple things. It can be things like, you know, you're good at computer science, or you're good at coding, and you're also good at reading books because you've read so many books, and you're also good at, you know, and perhaps adult coloring books. It doesn't really have to be anything in any specific category. Just name all of them. Name all of them and estimate how much time you have spent on it in your life. Again, nothing specific, nothing exact, just approximately, you know, how much time do you spend on it a week? How old are you? How long have you been doing this? How many years? No specific numbers. You might just write down, I've been doing this about once a week for the last 5 years, or I've been doing this every single day as much as possible since I've been 5 years old. Or I just started last year and I spent probably over 100 hours because I've been at it in any spare time I've ever had. So what is the purpose of this exercise? The purpose of this exercise is to realize how much effort you put into the things that you actually care about. And again, this doesn't have to be any category, any specific professional thing or non-professional thing, creative thing, or any kind of thing. Just all the things that you do on a daily basis. Even if you're creating social media content, even if you're not an influencer or a star, but you write about something passionately, you create certain podcasts talking about something that you care about. Maybe 5 people listen to these podcasts. It does not matter. How much time have you spent on this? So when you estimate, first of all, when you see a list of all these categories that you're passionate about, all the interests that you've invested your time and energy in, and then you see by them a stock of the time and energy, approximate, doesn't have to be exact, approximate stock of the energy and time that you've invested into researching, practicing, doing them, trying them, putting them out there. The results, I'm not even talking about results. No, I don't want to hear, there is no way to qualify the results anyway. So don't write anything about whether it worked or it didn't. That's not the part of this exercise. So once you see the amount of things that you've invested your energy into and the time that you've invested into them, even if it's approximate, this will give you a little bit of an understanding of how much of a caring person that you are, how much of yourself you put into the things that you care about, how much of your energy do you put into the things that interest you, how much of yourself do you put into your passions. And you're going to see that it's a pretty significant amount of time. And you might also realize, like, wow, you know, I've been doing this thing for a long period of time and I really care about it. Maybe it should have more of a place in my life in other retrospects. Maybe from just something that I do at night, you know, without telling anyone. Maybe it's time I show it to the world. Or if I do this over and over and over and over again, and I have done so much say you have a podcast, or you've written a book that has not been published, or you're close to finishing a body of work that you're just kind of like, wow, I don't think it's worth anything. Maybe it's time that you realize, like, wow, I've put in a lot of myself into this. I've put in a lot of hours. Maybe it's time I ask for help. And then just think, who in your circle, of the people that you know, of the people that you have connections with, who might give you good advice? I'm not saying, publish it or make you a star, superstar, but maybe someone can give you good advice about this. Maybe someone has had experience with similar projects, or maybe someone knows someone. You never know. Or maybe someone you just ask that question kind of into the universe, and suddenly a name comes up and you're like, what does this person have to do with anything? Just trust it. You're an empath. You have a strong sense of intuition. I made a video about why you should never ignore your intuition. Your intuition is not just a warning sign. Your intuition is also your key to bypass a lot of closed doors, or the doors that are going to be shut right into your face. By just trusting it, you might be able to jump from step 1 to step 150, but you have to trust it and you have to try it. So if a name comes up and you don't know what this person can do for you, and you have no idea how that's even related, just try it out. Just send this person a message. Say, hey, listen, I've been working on this thing for a while, and I've been wondering how I can grow this thing. I really want it to be more of a thing in my life. Maybe more of my professional focus, or just something that's just occupies a little more space in the world. And when I was thinking how I can take this thing further, for some reason your name came up. So I don't really know why, but I just decided to put it out there, see what happens, So if you have any suggestions, any ideas, let me know, because I'm really ready to take the next step. You might be blown away by how effective that can be. I certainly have been in so many instances in my life. I've used this skill. I've went to the place that suddenly came up in my mind, or I called the person that suddenly showed up, their name. I was like, how can I take this thing further? And all of a sudden the name would go off, and I'd be like, what does this person have to do with anything? And then I'd reach out, and this person would end up having a lot to do with everything related to that thing, and would help me out. So take the account of your passions, your skills, things that you've been working on, things that you're creatively passionate about, things that you just care about. Maybe it's been video gaming. Maybe you've been a gamer. Maybe you've been playing games since the games came out. And you've been just really doing a lot to master the skill of being a good gamer. Maybe it's time you start a streaming account. Maybe it's time that you apply for a job that has to do with game development, instead of struggling at the job that you're in. In order to realize this, you have to take an account of what passions, what projects, what interests, what hobbies, what spheres of energy investment have you been pursuing, and how much time have you invested into it so far, approximately. But just 2 columns: things that you care about, things that you've been doing, and how long you've been doing them for. And that might give you a lot of ideas, and that will raise your self-worth in ways that you can't imagine until you do it, because you're going to realize just how much you care about things, just how much of yourself you invest into the things that you do. And the things that you actually care about might surprise you. You might think you care about your job, or you care about something that you've kind of accepted as who you are. And you might realize, like, wow, maybe it's time I start calling myself a writer, because I've been writing for the past 10 years and I've written, over 300 poems. And I haven't even thought about it. You never know, but that's going to help you expand your understanding of your self-worth by a lot. And I highly suggest this exercise. It's only going to take less than an hour for sure, unless you really try to calculate the most accurate estimation of time. But it might take you 3 or 4 hours just to sit there and be like, wow, what? I've done a lot. I've done a lot more than I'm giving myself credit for. So that's a very important suggestion. So step number 3 is this is the hardest step, you guys. You have to go back in time. And it's not the hardest step because I'm telling you to time travel, no. What I'm telling you to do is to go back into your childhood, go back into your earlier years, go back into the way that you grew up. I know for some people it can be a pretty difficult experience because not everyone was blessed with a happy childhood or loving parents or pleasant circumstances growing up. But it's very important, it's even more so important if that's the case. You have to see what messages you have accepted growing up. That either it was someone telling you something, a teacher, a parent, a relative, someone who is older than you, a figure of authority, another peer. It does not matter who, but when you were a kid, you have to remember, and it might take some time, and this might come in like waves. So you start the process, something comes up, then a few days later something else comes up, then a week later you're like, wow, I have totally forgotten about this experience, but like now it's like right in front of you as if it was yesterday. You have to go back and analyze the messages that have told you that it is not acceptable, not good, perhaps even evil to have a healthy self-worth. Someone that have told you that money is evil, that money is the root of all evil, that you have to give and never receive, that receiving is bad, that asking for your needs to be met is bad, that it's not according to the highest values of humanity, that being abundant and having good things in life is evil again, or is takes you farther away from God, that seeking appropriate compensation should not be your concern. You should only be concerned with giving. That people who are wealthy are not going to get into heaven. That that looking out for yourself or self-serving, so to speak, is something to be ashamed of, something that you can never do. You have to go back. I'm not telling you to name names and focus on, oh, this person was that and this person was this and they must have done this and they're really bad and I see it now, they really suck. Like, that's not going to do anything for you. That's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, that's going to give you this victim mentality. Like, oh, they told me this and poor me, I'm a victim. And oh my God, I'm stuck with this unhelpful perception now. No. What you have to do is set these people aside, but focus on the message. Focus on what was told to you that you've accepted. As a child, you don't really have that ego. You don't really have the boundaries of saying, no, that does not quite sound right. You might even feel that it doesn't really sound right. But as a kid, you tend to accept what's being told to you, what's being taught to you, because you're surviving. You're surrounded by adults that are responsible for your food, your clothing, your shelter. You can't really say, no, I don't believe in this. If you will, you might not get what you need. So as children, we're a lot more receptive to the messages that we're taught or told. And a lot of times we don't even realize that things that we've accepted back then have an impact on us as adults. So you have to go back. Forget about the people that said it. Forget about why they said it. Even if it's your relative, even if it's your mom or dad or your grandma or your grandpa or your sister or your teacher or whoever, just leave them alone. They're on their own path. They have their own karma. They have their own thing. Leave them alone. They are who they are. You can't change another person, but you can change yourself. But focus on the message. What was the message? And then start seeing how you've made this message true in your life. Say, if someone told you that money is the root of all evil, have you declined things because they would pay you more? Have you rejected money outright? Have you practiced the behavior such as soon as you get paid, you blow all of it? You spend everything to the last dollar. Have you felt needing money, like you're needing it. You need it and it's not coming and you're constantly stressed out. There is a lack of a relationship with money. It's because deep inside you might have accepted the message that it's evil. And so of course, as soon as you get it, you blow it all. And when you don't have it, you're afraid that you're not going to have it. It's a relationship based on fear. It's the fear of having it. It's the fear of not having it. It's a contradiction in your mind. And you have the power to resolve it. But you have to acknowledge this agreement that you have made. And where it comes from. Forget about the person, but just pinpoint the moment that you heard that message. You might have heard it a million times. Your whole family might have been telling you this. Or your family and your school. But you have to see the source and remember where you heard it first and how it was reinforced. And then you have to take accountability of how you've made that message true. And then you have to start doing research how to change that message. There's a lot of resources. You can Google, you can read books, there's so much you can do. But the first step is acknowledgement. The first step is taking accountability of how have you made this message true in your life? If it was something like you have to give, but to take is, ungodly, to need something for your own or ask something for your own is going to take you farther away from heaven than you can imagine. Things like that. But if there is something that was told to you that you've accepted, again, leave the people who said this alone. But if this was told to you and you've agreed to it or you believe that this person must be right because they're either my teacher or my senior or my family member who is older than me, you have to realize that you've accepted this belief unconsciously as a child, and you have to own up as to how you've made this message true. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you really making sure your needs are met? Or are you constantly abusing your own boundaries? Do you go out and take a I don't know, drink a bunch of coffee when you feel like you're exhausted? Do you skip out on sleep because you can do some more work in the meantime? Do you, when you feel like you can't give anything else, do you feel like you're not going to be a good human being if you don't do like 10 more things before you absolutely crash? You have to realize how you've been practicing these messages. And you have to make a commitment to yourself to change this because it's not serving you. So the third step, the most important step and the hardest step is going back in time, not as in time travel, but as in like memory travel. Going back in time, seeing who planted the seed of your needs not being met, financial, energetic, just from the perspective of owning things, having the right to own things, having the right to be who you are, having the right to speak your truth, having the right to be an empath and tell the world that you're an empath or practice your special abilities. Maybe someone told you, don't ever tell people that you have these abilities. Don't ever show people that you're different because everyone's going to hate you and everyone's going to bully you and you're going to be destroyed. That's a common message. You might have accepted that. You don't even know it. You have to go back in time as in memory. You have to remember these messages. And you have to take accountability of how you've made them, how you've reinforced them through your own actions in your life, as a kid, as an adult, as a young adult, as a teenager, all throughout life. How have you lived this truth? And are you willing now to release it? Are you willing to let it go? It's no longer serving you. You know it. Everyone knows it. You have to let it go. But it's up to you to do that. Only you can do this. No one else can do this. The people that have told you these messages, they can do this for you. They cannot, they will not, and it's not their job. And you can't fix them for them. You can't go back in time or go back to them right now and be like, hey, listen, remember you told me this? Well, you were wrong. It's not going to change them. You have to do this for you. That's the only way. So let them go, forgive them. They know not what they do. They really do not. When it comes to you, they do not know what they do. They do not know what they do towards themselves most of the times. Don't be like them. Don't be one of these people that lives their life in ignorance with all of these unmet needs that they never figure out how to meet for themselves. Be different. Change up the dynamic. Let these beliefs go. First, you have to find them, the root. You have to remember where they come from. You have to acknowledge that you've accepted them and how you have made them true in your life. As an adult, how have you lived this message? How have you made it your reality? And then you have to decide to let it go. And once you decide, you have to really decide, this is no longer part of my life. I'm not going to live this message anymore. I'm not going to be poor because because having wealth is evil. I'm not going to have all of my needs constantly unmet because I feel like it's if I ask for my needs to be met, I'm a bad person. I'm not going to be afraid of being who I am because of a fear that someone will prosecute me for speaking my truth. There's so many more unhealthy agreements that you can make against yourself that will prevent you from having your needs met. And you have to find them. You have to make a decision that they no longer will be part of your life. And then you have to start taking action. And the action is start doing some research, maybe go talk to a therapist, maybe go talk to a spiritual advisor, maybe go find a book, go to a library, go to a bookstore, look up some of these books, look up some of these issues. Google, again, just Google it. Just that alone can give you so much information. It's free. If you're able to see this video, you're able to Google something. So just use that first before you do anything else. That's free. So, and then start taking action. Whatever you find, whatever steps you find, whatever processes you find that seem a good fit, start taking them. Start taking action. But only you can do this. So these 3 steps, you guys, I hope this really helps. This is a longer video. These are some important things that have helped me tremendously, that I know have the capacity to help other empaths. I hope you take advantage of these. And I am very excited to continue these series. I will be seeing you guys in my next video. And until then, I love you all so very much. If you have questions, please drop them in the comments below. If you like these types of videos, if you like this series, of course, check out the links to the other videos in the description box. If you like these videos, it's a pretty new channel. If you want to support me, a subscribe will mean the world to me, so I would highly appreciate it. And otherwise, again, I'll see you in the next one. I love you all so very much. I hope you can feel my love. Take care. Bye.